Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Late Night Drives podcast. I am your driver, Sebastian or Sebi.
And I'm the passenger, Josh Zula. Hello.
Yep, in the front seat. And thank you for joining us on this late night drive, guys. Thank you so much for the support thus far. The last two episodes did really well, and
You
that's
guys,
all thanks to you guys.
yeah, you guys have been enjoying it. You guys have been vibing with it. Joining the conversation, which is also what we want y'all to do.
Yeah.
So we
For
really
those of you that
appreciate
watch
it.
us live, join the conversation. For those of you that don't know, Late Night Drives, this is a deep talk podcast. Josh and our two best friends, they live 2,000 miles apart,
Yeah.
going to two different colleges, one in Chicago, one in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And we are calling it Late Night Drives because normally when we're together in person, we go on Late Night Drives to talk our feelings out and figure out what's going on with us. So this is our way of being therapeutic. And today's topic is going to be, well, actually, before we get into that, you can catch us live every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, here on this Twitch channel. And it's streaming on all platforms, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
All of them. Every single one.
Yep. But yeah, you guys, no guests for this week, but we normally have guests. Last week we had our longtime friend Edo, if you guys want to check that out. Talk about online relationships. But today, our topic, depression.
Yeah, big one.
We got a deeper topic today, guys.
Very much deeper topic. So before we get into any of that, I'll just start it now. Just let y'all know now, just to any kind of trigger warning. We will be talking about depression.
Yep.
And just want to blanket that out there. Don't know how deep and detailed we'll get into it. But however, it is a topic we are discussing, and I just want to throw that out there for anyone who is listening, watching, whatever.
Yes. So before we get into this, we'll just do a little preface. None of this is going to be actual therapy advice or anything of the
medical
sort,
advice.
because we are not trained professionals in that regard. And for
Yeah.
preface, Josh is, I guess you should say that. What's up, Kara? Next week's topic, we're gonna have a guest on next week, and I don't know, we'll see.
We'll see.
It'll be a guest. You know her, Kara. It'll be one of my friends from our high school. But yeah. So yeah, for those of you guys that don't want to be here for this one, that is completely understandable.
We get it. It's a deeper topic.
It's
So,
a bit deeper.
do you want to jump right into it?
It's probably gonna be either Grace or Kayla. Yeah. So I'm personally not what's it called, diagnosed with depression. However, over the years I have experienced the symptoms of depression. But I've never been tested, or I've never gotten tested. I feel like I should, so I know. I don't think I have clinical depression. I feel like I've experienced the symptoms, but I don't think I have clinical depression, if I'm gonna be completely honest.
But that's okay. I mean, you don't. I feel like I would like to preface first, real quick. I have been diagnosed. I've been, just to get real, I guess, open into it. I have been, me personally, I've been going to therapy for almost 3 years now, 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years, so almost 3 years now. And I have seen psychiatrists, right? That's what they're, yeah. And I have done the test and oh my gosh, the test, and gotten diagnosed, and even was on medication for a little period of time.
Gotcha.
But I decided I didn't want that. But anyway, I feel like you don't have to be diagnosed to experience it. We all go through these episodes, and I feel like I've been struggling, excuse me, with it for since as long as I can remember, literally end middle school type beat. Because obviously those are the worst years of our lives.
It's hard. It's very
So,
hard. It's like that point in your life when you're very much transforming, and a lot of things are a lot of things are changing. A lot of things are happening to you physically, and then obviously you got to work through that. You got to deal with your emotions.
Yeah.
That's when things start to get really real.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple pivotal points and moments of those in our lives where we feel that. I feel like one of them is definitely that area, middle school, getting into high school moment where it's like a lot of changes happening, a lot of things are happening, and I feel like a lot. I don't want to say most because I don't want to like blanket statement anything, but I feel like a lot of
Mhm.
people just cannot like just don't know how to handle that, and that's totally fine. I was one
Yeah.
of them. Like I just do not. I just could not handle it all, and there was a lot of points in that period of time where it was like really hard stuff going on at home, where it was just like nothing could, nothing seemed like there was no light at the end of the tunnel type beat, you know.
Right. I think I've experienced that too in at certain points. So I guess like a way to start would be if we were to sort of define it. If you look up the definition, it's depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. It affects how you feel, think, behave, and can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. And then you may have trouble doing day-to-day activities.
Yeah.
And then some symptoms can include uh, feelings of sadness, tearfulness, emptiness, or hopelessness, angry outbursts, irritability or frustration, sleep disturbances, loss of interest in most or all normal activities, tiredness, lack of energy, reduced appetite, anxiety, feelings of worthlessness, etc., etc. Unexplained physical problems. You know, there's a lot of
Yeah.
symptoms. And I guess should I tell my experience?
Yeah. If you want to start and go first, yeah, be
Sure. So,
by all means go first.
um, so the reason why I don't say I don't think I have it now, but I think I did have it was throughout a lot of the later years of grade school. So like sixth through eighth grade and early parts of high school. I would say I did have a lot. I did experience these symptoms. Like I had many weeks at a time where I would just feel very sad, and like the default state was like sad. And I think I did a decent job of like hiding it. Like I always would go to class and just be like smiley, and or go to school and be like smiley. So like a lot of people don't know this. I haven't really shared this part of how I was feeling to very many people actually. I don't think I've even shared it like at all. Um and there were points in my life where I felt kind of worthless, and fortunately, I didn't get anxiety, but it was still just like a feeling of like dread and not knowing like. N- there were times when I didn't want to like do anything. Like there'd be days where I didn't want to do anything. But the reason why I feel like I say I toe. I'm very careful about saying this sort of thing is I don't think I had like full on depression because I could always find the the ability or strength to like pick myself back up and like try to force myself to do things. Whereas I feel like from what I've heard is that like having clinical depression, it's very hard to for someone to even, you know, get up and do stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's obviously different levels of depression. Like you can have like very minimal and like slight depression. You can have like mild, and then you can have like obviously like very severe depression. And I feel like what I was
Mm-hmm.
told, I had at least like explaining things to my therapist, backtracking, storytelling, you know, whatever, going over everything with my therapist. It's like he would, and psychiatrist at the time too, was like, oh, you definitely experience like mild to severe like depression, and you obviously have anxiety and stuff like that. It was very like, yeah, it was very hard for me. And I feel like you saw it too when I lived with you,
Mm-hmm.
like just insanely hard to get up
Yeah.
and like do so and like actually get off my ass and be like, okay, I need to, you know, do something. Like I remember, I know, especially with you too, when I lived with you, there were definitely like days where I would just like literally sit in bed and binge
Mm-hmm.
watch TV, not do homework, nothing, you know, just like sit there and not really do anything because I was like, you know, what's the point type of thoughts, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I'm here, you know, there's a, especially during the pandemic, that would suck. That was the
Mm-hmm.
worst.
It's also hard. I feel like it was very hard then too, because there
To
wasn't much
do.
to do to begin with.
Yeah.
And if you're, you know, you're suffering with depressive thoughts, depression in general, it was hard to have like an escape,
Oh my
if you
god,
will.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I know like pretty much my like I've definitely had it like for a majority of my life, and especially like it would affect like how I would like it would affect like my daily life. Like I would literally I found out years later, like when I was in high school, I would have
Mm-hmm.
like these like debilitating headaches, right? I would have
Oh.
these terrible headaches all
Oh,
the
I remember
time.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I like went to like neurologists and doctors to try and like figure out what was wrong, and they're like, oh, your head looks fine like on the scans or whatever, but it's
It took
just
a
like
long time for you to like get it
yeah,
fixed. Also,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
migraines? Question mark.
yeah. It was like these terrible migraines and headaches that were just kind of like unexplained. Like I would drink enough water, I was a decently healthy overall human being, physically, like eat
Yeah, you
eat
were.
all
You were
right,
running a lot. You
whatever.
were very. You were very fit.
Yeah, and it was like, it was just so weird. And I learned later down the line when I moved to Chicago, when I moved like downtown and stuff, and I moved into my own apartment, that's when I started therapy, and that's when I like went to doctors here, and I was like, it still kind of happens. I need to know like what the fuck is going on, because the New York doctors and like people around me were like, throw pills of the problem type of deal, and they're like, take this
Mm.
pill every day and they'll go away. They did not.
And it didn't work
It
for
didn't
you,
really
right?
help that much either. So I went to them and I
Did you feel like you had a, at least it's different for different people, right? But I guess in your case, did you feel like you had almost a dependence on the pills after a certain point in time?
Yeah, I feel like they would work for a little bit, but it was kind of like a placebo effect kind of thing where it
That's
was
how you
like,
felt for you.
oh, I felt like they worked for a little bit and then they didn't, you
Hmm.
know? But I learned like from going, especially learning here and going to therapy and stuff like that, that they were caused, like they got better over time, but they were still there. But they were caused by like depression and anxiety. Like I was worrying so much that my brain literally could not
Literally
take it
to
anymore.
the point that you would hurt your brain.
Yeah, where it was like I had the levels of anxiety and depression were so high. It was literally it could not do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As Jude's saying, like the best way, that's what I was told too, is take magnesium and stuff like that to to add a little that helps for the brain. But the biggest one is literally to reduce the amount of stress in my life.
Hmm.
That
And
helped.
that's
That's
always
all.
easier said than done.
It's easier said than done, especially like situations where I grew up in, but it literally helped quite physically removing myself from the home, moving to a different city, and like kind of figuring my way out here. Yeah, life is stressful. Don't get me wrong, it's still stressful. Stuff is constantly evolving and moving and changing, and it's like,
I do definitely see that you've gotten a lot happier here. Or not,
oh,
I'm saying here like I'm there right
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Chicago. Once
No,
you
I
moved
get
in
I get what you
Chicago.
mean. Yeah, and it was funny because it was like I brought that up to one time to, and he's like, "Yeah, no, that's what happened." And over time, they like went away. They literally go away. And it's like if I ever get a headache, it's like, "Oh, is it too hot out? Did I exercise too much? Did I drink enough water? Stuff like that." And it's just,
Like how most headaches usually are.
yeah, it's like, "Oh, did I just meet a couple basic needs on the checklist?" And if
Hmm.
one of them is not checked, it's like, "Oh, that's why I have the headache. It's not the stress anymore because I now have coping mechanisms and way to reduce those stress and reduce like, the depressive thoughts and stuff like that,
That's good to hear.
which is always nice. And it was crazy that for all these years, that's all it was. It
You
was
know what I
just like
do?
biggest
You
stress
bring up.
type beat and, depression. Yeah, what was up?
Sorry, you bring up like a good thing where it's like I feel like um especially even when we were still growing up, middle school, high school, because now it's a big emphasis, mental health,
Oh
and
yeah.
going to therapy, getting all the treatments that you need to sort through your personal struggles and fights, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like, especially when we were still growing up, it wasn't that big of a deal, or it wasn't like, sorry, how do I word this? It wasn't like talked about frequently. It wasn't like all the
Advocated
knowledge that
enough.
we advocated enough. There you go. And so people, many people, myself included, didn't know what to do when we're faced with all this stress or all this sort of depressive thoughts and feelings of
Yeah.
helplessness. I didn't know what to do,
No.
especially since I was like way younger, right? Like
Yeah.
10, 11, 12, 13.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Um, it's tough. It's rough. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah. Because I feel like for the most part, since it was not talked about, it was like the only way you could quote unquote, and I put this in air quotes because it's like it's not dealing with it, but the only way you can quote unquote deal with it is to not say anything at all.
Yeah, and I think that's what I did.
And
Is I didn't
that's
I didn't talk
yeah,
about it much.
and I feel like that's what a
Oh,
lot of people did as well, you know?
also like I do remember this. There was one time when I like said it like a offhand comment about like me being like depressed. When I was in grade school. I think I was in 6th grade or something like that. I don't remember. But I think my teacher got concerned, and so she like during the PTA, my dad or she told my dad like is Sebi depressed? And I was like, damn, I've been perceived. So then I didn't want to like be sent to anything or like, have to deal with like therapy at the time, because okay, obviously now I know it's good. I've been to therapy now. I went to
Yeah.
therapy last year, and now I know it's good and it's very healthy for you. At the time, I was like, no, I don't want anyone like talking to me about this. Like, just leave me alone.
Yeah,
Just
no, of course.
back off. 10-foot pole, back off, right?
10-foot pole.
Um,
Yeah.
and so from since then, when that happened, I didn't talk about it to anyone. I didn't say a word to anyone. And so
Absolutely.
most of the time when it was very much perceived that I was when I did outwardly show that I was very, very sad, it was usually when I was in like relationships and then they would end, right? That's when they would that's when it would most outwardly show my sadness. But there were points in time outside of that where I was, battling depression or I think I was battling depression, battling the symptoms of depression. Again, I want to make this clear because I was not like diagnosed. Battling the symptoms of depression, and I didn't show it to people.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's like such a like common thing. Like when we're like kids and stuff, it's like you don't want to tell anyone. You don't want people to get involved. You want to 10-foot pole them. You're like, get away. I don't want to like really talk about this, because it's like I did the same thing. I feel like I was in the same situation one time where it's like I tried to, like in middle school, very much. I was a very troubled individual, to say the least, where it's like I would get like teachers would notice, I would get in trouble, I'd act out a little bit, where it'd be like, they're like, oh, okay, we need to take note on this kid. And it was definitely, and like once that happened, once it like came out a little too much, and teachers, people started noticing, and we're like, oh, we need to do something about this. We need to 10-foot pole gone. I don't want, it was the same type of deal, which is terrible way to think as a kid,
like it's like God bless, right? Because they're just doing as much as they can because they want to help, right? But it's just we put the walls up.
Yeah, and that's I feel like that's sadly the like most common case of it, where it's just like I don't know what it is. Like I can't explain it. I would love to know how to explain it and why you put those walls up. And I feel like I could a little bit from like, my time in therapy and stuff, but it's like it's so hard because it's like you don't want to open up to people. Like I don't know why it's like such a innate reaction to not do it. It's like
I think it's like, at least for me, I feel like and chime in if you agree.
Of course.
To a certain extent. Like for me, I feel like I don't want to burden people with it. Even though like obviously like the right people that are like trained to deal with that sort of thing, they're there specifically to hear you out, right? That's the whole point. Or like your closest friends, they're there to hear you out.
Yeah.
Okay, right? Like that's, but I don't want to burden people. That's part of it. And then the other part of it is like it's definitely back then it was like it's such a vulnerable thing, and I didn't want to let people in, I guess, is how I felt.
No, absolutely.
Like I felt like my heart was just like boom on the table, and then somebody took took a scalpel, made an incision, and just opened that up, and then it's
Yeah.
just
This is flooding out of like
like a Pandora's
everything.
box type beat.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was the same thing for me. It was just like, since it was not talked about as much, it was like, I just didn't want to. Like, opening up was such a like innate thing. And I think we've talked about this before, and I have, at least, where it's just like slowly and slowly every day, especially with this, like films that I'm making and stuff that I do, and just straight up talking to people more. I'm slowly getting over that bad misconception where it's like opening up is a bad thing,
Yeah.
And I'm slowly like finally telling people things. But it's like when I was a kid, especially because, and I think one of the things that my therapist like mentioned was like, when you grow up in such a weird household, or you grow up with not that secure, what's the word I'm looking for, support system,
Uh huh.
you, as a child, that's what you're looking for, and if you can't find it, you just don't think it exists.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
much
No, I
simplifying it.
agree.
I'm very much simplifying of what he said, but that's like the gist of it. He's like, now you don't associate, like people who are supposed to love and take care of you as that support system. So now you're like, okay, well now I have, if my parents can't do it, or like, this, family or whatever, you're like, well then who the fuck can? And you just don't tell anyone. And it's such a terrible like cycle and like thought to have, and it
You know,
sucks.
I think I sort of had that, but instead of like with parents, it was with some people I used to be friends with. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like I had a support network or support system, and so I guess I just didn't. I was like, oh, okay, well, if I guess I kind of in my at the time limited amount of people that I had knew, I didn't think that it was possible for someone to, or for a group of people to like sort of accept and hear you out in that deep of a way.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, the people that truly do care about you and are gonna be there for you will.
Oh yeah, I feel like it
You know?
took a while for me. Like finally in like high school is like when I finally started like talking to people, telling things like more than I did as a kid. But it was like in high school I finally found that group of people that like always wanted to support, always were there. Like we were there for each other, we wanted to support each other, stuff like that, and we
Facts.
always wanted, that's when it started, and that's when it just sucks because it was so late, in life where I finally started feeling comfortable with that, where it was like, then the major shift and change happened from high school to college. And I'm like, fuck, I got to start all over, seemingly,
Right. And
I was-
I know like we're still young for the people, those of you who are listening and are
Yeah.
older than us, but
Yeah.
it's like for us being like 21 years old, right? Like for us to have experienced like all this like, hard
emotional turmoil.
emotional turmoil already, it's like it's
crazy.
it does feel like it's like starting over, like it's like it feels like it's so late into the journey of navigating these hard emotions that we figured out that you can't have that support system, which it sucks, but it's like
Yeah.
at the very least I'm glad that we've been fortunate enough to be able to find that.
I'm glad it's happening now. It sucks that it took me, like 20 years to figure it out. Like 20 years to figure it out, but it's like at least I know now that I have
I
it.
guess a springboard question: have you ever felt like in like intimate relationships, like past girlfriends, whatever, have you felt that you fighting through like your own battles of depression has taken a toll on becoming more intimate with them, or like trying, like, you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
has it been hard to feel as though, or like really place the trust in the people you've dated or things like that?
Yeah. Dude, you're so good at these questions every episode. You're like, you should be an interviewer. Side note. It's like, I'll throw the question back to you.
The
But
reason I ask is because I've experienced that, and I
Yeah.
want to hear what you say, and then I can say what my experience is.
yeah, I want to say yes. And because of like trying to like again, to like go on the point we were saying earlier, it's because like since it was so hard to open up to people, and because I didn't have that support system growing up, or it was rocky at least, the walls were high. The walls were, not to use a biblical reference, but like as high as fucking Jericho, dog. Like,
Yeah.
and it took, like, I wouldn't say trust issues, but at the same time, trust issues, you know, like, I don't know what
Yeah,
else
no, no, I
way
get
to
you, I
put
get
it,
you.
you know, where it was like, it really took the time. It took time, like, for, I'd say, like, first, like, serious relationship. If we're gonna go back a little bit, I don't remember. Like, I feel like one of the ways it made it a little, and I hope I don't like mean anything bad by saying this, but like, I feel like one of the ways it was easier to open up to them is because we kind of grew up in the same house environment growing up.
So it was almost like a, I know this term gets thrown around a lot, but like
Yeah.
almost like a trauma bond.
Yeah, and I don't want to say trauma bond because that's what I was trying to avoid, because I was like,
Yeah,
that
I
was
don't.
not the basis of the whole relationship. You
Yeah,
know?
I don't like throwing that term around either.
No, but like a shared experience. And it's like, since I experienced it at their house and they came over and experienced it at my house, we opened up, and the walls came down quicker, because I'm like, oh, well, you're experiencing it. You have been
So you guys had
experiencing
a
it.
similar shared experience.
Yeah. And it came down a lot quicker. And I feel like it sucks because,
Also, wait, before we continue, by the way, guys, whenever we talk about any sort of personal
we are going to
experience that we've
leave out
had,
names.
we leave all names are
Yes.
left out. Everything is fully anonymous
'Cause I
for
don't
the
wanna-
privacy of the other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regardless of the situation that happened.
The only time when I will say something is, and drop a name, is like when it's not serious at all. Like, it's just a moment in time, like a fun moment. And I usually will say, I'm going to throw them under the bus. And they're usually okay with it. But yeah, no, no, of course not. Not going to say any names, but it was like, once those walls come down, I don't know. It feels like in this day and age, there's like, especially with the fucking internet and like, TikTok and what people should expect. I hate to use the word love bomb too, because it has like such a negative, like shoot it down like connotation. But it's like, once those walls come down, you got them down. You're going to get everything I have to offer. And it sucks that it's going to take a while. And again, I'm still, 21 in here and working on making them come down quicker. But once they're down, they're down. And it sucks when it like you finally break through that like mental barrier because then all the other things flow through. It's like, yeah, I'm telling you all this, but like, now if this ends, or if I overthink, or if whatever, this is gonna fucking suck for me, because now I have to do it all, like, fucking all over again. I have to do it all over again. And I feel like it has made it harder because of the way things have ended for me before. Me or them. I'm not saying it's all me, and I'm not saying it's all them. Just in either way that it ended, it has made it just a tiny bit harder to open up again. And I feel like recently it's been different, where it's like, okay, I now see how the problem is affecting. Now I finally see how the problem of not opening up is affecting others, or affecting my like intimate, serious relationships. And now I kind of need to kick that into high gear and just be like, all right, let's maybe speed this up a little bit. Like, and I've learned over time, I'm okay with opening up a little bit sooner, because it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a double-edged sword for me, at least, where it's like, yeah, I want to open up sooner and tell them, but at the same time, if this goes bad, like, I have dumped all this on you.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the same time, again, double-edged sword here. It's like, you open up with them, you're intimate with them, you share all this, you share all this back, you have that connection, and then it's just like, I have started to learn too that it is okay for things to end. It's gonna happen.
Right.
Not to expect it, but to just do what you can do and keep doing what you can do. And if it, like, again, I'm like really starting to be okay with that. And it's like, if it ends, it ends. And if it doesn't, great, you know? But like you had,
It's interesting you bring that up because I'm gonna speak on that as well.
no,
Also,
go for it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no. So when you said so for me, uh, I've been, you and I both had our fair share of relationships, intimate relationships that we've been in, and
Mm-hmm,
it's like,
mm-hmm.
with every subsequent one, it's been harder for me to open up and, I guess like let myself be vulnerable enough to where like I can trust them. It takes a while now. It takes a while now. It didn't used to take as long before, obviously, because the heart wasn't broken,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
or like, but
Yeah.
yeah. I think what I struggle with sometimes is, which is I think is valid. I don't want to like put all my struggles onto my partner because it's not fair for
Mm.
them to know or to have to like deal with all of it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion. um and I mean, I guess maybe like over the course of you guys, if you guys are together long over a period of time, then it's like, the stuff comes out, like you guys talk and share like what you guys went through, whatever. um as you guys are, in the relationship for longer, I feel like it's like a natural thing. But like
Yeah.
I don't want to have somebody, my partner, like have to deal with all that, have to like navigate through all that. I just feel like it's not fair to them. So it's something I want to like work through. Like my issues I want to be able to work through and make it so that it's not so hard on my partner, because I have made it hard on previous partners
Yeah.
because it's just like kind of come out because my insecurities, or like my uh depressive episodes will come out. And then um yeah, no, with each subsequent person that I've been with, it's been harder and harder and harder to open up and really just let myself be vulnerable and trusting of the person, which
Oh
is
my
like,
God. Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
it sucks for them because it's like they don't they also have to do the same thing where it's like, they have to open up and be trustworthy of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm not giving them the same energy, then it's like it's hard for them. It's hard for them to be like, do I really know this person? I'm bearing my heart to Seb, and if he can't give it back to me, then it's like,
Yep.
what is
What is
er,
what are we doing here? You know?
yeah, exactly. It's like
Yeah.
there's no balance. It's like
Yep.
I'm giving, but he's not.
Correct. Yeah. 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 No, I was. Yeah.
Um, and so like if I think that's also why I haven't been in the market of like trying to actively find anyone also, is
Mm.
because I have things that I need to work through. Um, things that I haven't like resolved fully.
Mm.
And it's hard for me to open up. It's hard for me to open up. It truly is.
Yeah. No. No. It absolutely is. This is a silly thing, but I mean, yeah, it's hard to open up, and it's just like that imbalance has definitely like been there, and it's been mentioned to me. It's like, hey, I'm doing, pouring this out, and you're just like very much. I can tell you're holding back. What is happening here? The balance is
Mm-hmm.
off, and it just sucks because it's like, because then I get overthinking, because that's one of the things I have worked on over the past couple of years, where it's like my overthinking gets the best of me. It's like, oh, but if I tell them this, they're gonna hate me, and they're gonna see what, the
Yeah,
flaws
yeah,
of
yeah,
me, and
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they're gonna
I've
leave
gotten
me
that.
because of these flaws, and and then
Yeah,
it
yeah.
spirals, and then it's like that's why you hold back, because you're overthinking too much, and you're like, shit, if I do XYZ, they're gonna fucking hate me. And that's not how that
Hmm.
works. That's not how that works. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
if
not.
they're there, and you're there for a while, and like, they say the two of you, like say you love each other, like at least me, and of course they do. Hopefully, it's like they mean it, it's like there's not
Hmm.
much that's gonna change between that, no matter,
That's another
what
thing
kind of
too. Is
struggles that get brought up.
I had to learn is like, um, assuming the relationship is healthy, they chose you for you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, exactly.
and as long like, uh, you're like your brain is like trying to find like at least for us who you and me we both kind of overthink. It's like we're trying to find a reason why they chose us or like why like or like I think maybe like in our head we think that we're not enough for the person we're dating and then it like spirals into like why
Spirals.
did they choose me like what am I really all that like but they chose you for you is really what it
Yeah.
is and then I don't know
No. You're so
um
right. I feel like we definitely, at least I do, and I feel like we've kind of felt the same way on certain things. But it's just like, yeah, you just sit there, and it's like, if the relationship is healthy and the two of you are reciprocating and it's good, like, there's no reason why you should be doubting that. And it sucks that I have overthought that in the past, where it's like, do they really love me if I tell them all these family problems and XYZ problems that I'm having? They're
yeah
just gonna up and leave. It's like,
yeah
no, obviously not. You
I
know,
also have a hard time with because there was one long term one of my relationship was like pretty long term and it was like for the most part very very healthy and I bared like pretty much my entire soul to this person as much as I could and it was and vice versa it was reciprocated and I never felt more connected to somebody
yeah.
than that at the time and I like that feeling I really like.
Holy
But it
shit,
took,
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
it took a while to get there because prior to that, I had gone through some really, really rough, like right before that, I had gone through a really, really rough relationship thing, situationship thing. And, and then and then I took another leap of faith on this person and then it ended up being, um, one of the best relationships I've ever been in. And
Yeah.
we both like opened up to each other and it was very like very healthy. It was great. Like felt like I had a partner in crime. It was awesome. But I think, I'm not ready to like go through that whole like process. Like, I like at least I haven't met anyone where I'm like I'm willing to take that same leap of faith again and open up slowly.
Yeah. No, I get you. Yeah. I mean, I have definitely had that where it was very long, it was very like kind of went through everything together type beat. Where it was like I finally opened up and I was like, I feel so connected to this person
Right.
because of, how much I cared for them, how much I loved for them. I felt like the same way, like partner in crime type deal. I feel like
And you know what also is a thing is we're so young, right? It's like
you're young and in
we're
love.
yes, that, but also we were at stages in our lives where we're like uh going through a lot of
Changes.
career and life changes,
Yeah.
right? So like, if it's like early college, figuring out your friend groups, figuring out like your major if you're going to stay in it, or if it's like senior year high school, it's like, you're applying to colleges,
Where are you gonna
balancing your
go?
last year and
Yeah.
you're trying to do like your social stuff, balancing like your applications, still balancing your last year of grades and things like that. Um, and then I mean, obviously we had to deal with fucking COVID. That's
Yeah.
thanks COVID.
Thanks,
No, I'm just
COVID.
kidding.
Another thing to add to the balance.
But yeah, it's like at every turn, there's something new
Yeah.
that we have to face, along with already dealing with our emotions. And then, if you're as you're like young and in love, you're like slowly opening yourself up to like people, this person, this like your partner.
And I feel like you bond either like stronger or quicker because you're going through these like crazy changes like kind of together,
Exactly. Yeah.
so you like bond a lot quicker. I feel like in that instance, and it's like now you're going through all these changes together and it's like especially that like high school fucking canon event type moment.
Yes, yes, yes. I went through it. You went through it.
We all did. We all did. It's
It was
sad,
hard. It was very hard for me. It was very hard for me.
It's hard because it's like you're going through all these changes, but at the same time you're going through all these changes. You're
And
gonna
you know,
change.
another thing that you mentioned the like being able to accept that things will end, or a lot of things will have an end. You know, and that you don't know whether or not something is going to end or continue necessarily.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? It's like I think that was also kind of the source of my uh depression symptoms for a while. Is that like, oh well, if certain things are going to end, what is the point?
What is the point? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how I got to a lot of those thoughts of like helplessness, hopelessness, where it's like I didn't feel a reason to always put myself out there and take these leap of faiths if there was a non-zero chance it could end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I had moments where I didn't feel resilient enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And definitely when I was like younger, even a couple, like years ago, I was like, okay, well, yeah, I would say the same thing. A lot of like the depressive, especially like growing up and going through like first year of college, second year of college, or like transitioning into college in the first year or so, was like what happened, and if I do this and pour it all in again, it's just gonna end like that.
Yeah.
What is the point? What am I why am I fighting this hard
It's not
for
also
something
just
that's gonna
intimate relationships. It could be
no,
friendships
it can be
too.
friendships too. But it's like,
Um,
why am I putting in all this work for it to just, and that would make me like go crazy. Like I would spiral about it and I would get so upset about it, and I would like, yeah, I would get like in like these
mhm.
depressive episodes of just like, if nothing's sticking around, why am I doing this? Why do I care? What am I even doing? What's the point? And boom, and then boom, and you would just spiral from there, and it sucked.
And it's hard. It's
And
like
it's hard.
it really is part of it really is a battle of resilience.
Yeah,
How resilient can you be?
and it's just like, again, over time I've like learned like it's it's okay if things end. I'm very, I don't want to say loosey goosey, but I'm very like now like go with the flow type deal.
Hmm.
And I feel like I will like open up more. I want to share this like little dumb thing that I used to do with someone. We watched Ted Lasso together,
Okay.
right? And there's a
Good show.
bit
Really good show.
really good show. Because that show too is also like really good about talking about like mental health in such a like low key way.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's
There's a
really
lot of
good
like
at touching on it.
little things they input in there where it's just like this is also a part of life. It's not just
Yeah.
always happy go lucky.
And one of the things that, like main character Ted would talk about with the manager of the club, Rebecca, was they would talk and stuff, and they would kind of, that's the whole thing. He's trying to get to know everyone. He's trying to open up, and they slowly but surely form a very quick, like deep connection with each other. And like, obviously Ted, that's one of Ted's main things. Like he just doesn't want to open. He wants to get to know everyone else, but he doesn't want to open up himself.
Right.
So it's like when, people would ask how his day's going, he's like, yeah, I'm good. He'd, quip out some like dumb pun, and that's the end of it. And while he's talking, like they're opening up and blah, 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 blah. He's from Oklahoma or Nebraska or something. I don't know
Something
where
like
he's
that.
from. But that's the code word that him and his boss used to like be like, hey, I kind of think you're not telling me the whole truth here. What's really going on? And
Yeah.
I can't even lie. I started doing that with this person. Like, we'd be like, we notice that like one of us is off or something, and be like, oh, how's it going? And, either me, most of the time me, or the other person would be like, I'm fine, whatever. Oklahoma. And you're like, that's the the bit in the show. That's the thing in the show. It's like you are now obligated. No questions asked. You really got to just dig deep and say what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even lie, that helped me a little bit to open up more, because it's like, no, you, like, this other person that I'm looking at, called it, said Oklahoma. They really care. They really want to know what's going on. They really want to, help. Even just hear me out. Then obviously not always the solution is to help, but it's
Right,
just
yeah,
like, even
yeah.
just to hear them out and know that you're
it's just
listening.
enough to, or like you just want
Someone
either
to
you
listen.
or the person you're hearing. I just want someone to listen. Yeah.
And I don't know. We did that, like, in this relationship, and it was like, I don't know. I look back on it and I say, like, slowly but surely really helped me to open up more, because I'm like, it was a little nod, a little extra step where it was like, yeah, no, I really care. I really want to know what's going on. Please, you don't have to, like, hide it from me. I want to know what's going on, I don't know. It helped me a little bit, but it was, yeah. Almost eliminates the quote unquote burden, because it's
Because it's exactly.
yeah. Because
It
that
feels
was
less
always
of a,
my, no, go.
that was my problem too. And it's like, when you have either like, whether it be a code word or just like a set aside time to just like, yo, let's check in on each other. That's what I did in one of my past relationships. Like, yo, let's it's been a while. Let's check in. How we doing? Like after like a month or so, every month. And yeah, it was good. Like, it feels like you don't feel as though you're imposing as much.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you hit that right on the money. I was like, yeah, it quote unquote, it eliminates the quote unquote burden of it feeling, because it's like consensual. They're like, no, I really want to hear you out, because that was like it was just an extra step that kind of, like, recognized and was like, hey, he needs a little extra push. He needs a little extra step because of, like, he's overthinking. He doesn't want to be a burden. I don't want to be too much, is like, that was my main thing. And it was just a nice little extra step, of them saying Oklahoma. It was like, okay, now I get it. Now I really, just took that little extra step, and I was just like, now I know. You want to hear it. I want to tell you. I want to open up. It's okay. Let me share, It's silly, but
it's silly, but it's like, something as small as that can be like,
can really be a big
what
help.
can help you? Yeah, what can help you to open up more?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just like, it's nice that over time with people like me, obviously helping myself, me working on myself, doing things that are better for me, but also other people in, like, intimate relationships, friendships, just other people around me, like,
People being there for you really helps. It really helps when you're already working through the battles that you're fighting.
and even like recognizing the
So be there for your friends,
change.
guys.
Be there for your friends, like we said a couple episodes ago. Be there.
And if they're actually like good friends, they'll be there for you too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because even when you're working on yourself and you're working on your, like, whatever, like, even people like telling you like this change, like, oh, I see you a little more chipper today, or, like, someone said that to me the other day. Like, it was just such a like weird boost, and I like didn't know I needed it, or didn't know, like, I didn't ask for the validation, but it's like people seeing that you're doing a change, seeing that you're bettering yourself for yourself.
It really validates you.
It's like so nice to hear. I'm like, oh man, I didn't even notice. It's like, I'm not even trying to be validated, but it's like, it's nice that other people are noticing, stuff like that. And it's just like having that support group and people around you that care about you, like friends, family, whoever. Even, like, if you have a deeper relationship with like coworkers, even, it's just like, you need that support system too to help you out. It's not, while like it can be like, yeah, you have to work on yourself and all that stuff, it's not your own battle. You need other people. And when I was younger, it took a lot of time to learn that it, like, you need other people to help you. You need to ask for it. You can't go through it alone. Like, you cannot just go through all this alone.
As much as like you want to, you can't, unfortunately.
And as
You know,
much
it's
as like
hard.
to be a little haha,
It's
as much
okay. It's
as
okay to ask for help.
it's absolutely okay to ask for self, and as much as like the toxic masculinity in us to just be like, I wanna bottle it all up and I can trug through this trench on my own. No, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You need other people. You need to ask for help, and it is okay to ask for help. And it took, at least me personally, I don't know about you. I mean, you too, definitely
Took me
too.
a while. Took me a while.
But it took us a while. It took us years. It took us a while to finally like take that step and ask for help.
I guess the last thing I want to add
Hit me.
to this is there was a point in time, guys, where I think Josh will agree with this, where Josh and I, this was during like the COVID times when him and I both had full online school, and him and I both just felt completely lonely. Like even though
Lost.
we were like living together, both of us together at the same time felt very very lonely and didn't know what to do, didn't know what to do with ourselves. We felt very lost, and it
Literally,
was a
you were 5 feet away from me at
it
all
was a
times.
product. It was a product of like I feel like both Josh and I didn't really have much of a support group. It was like a lot of, and it's not the fault of like our friends back in his friends back in New York or my friends from high school that were starting college. It was like
I mean, it
because
also.
they were my friends from Josh's as well when they were starting college. They were most of them were in person. We were the ones that weren't.
Yeah.
And they were off like meeting new people, getting new friends, and we felt kind of stuck, and we felt
Yeah.
even though it was a cool chapter where like the two of us were like living together. It was like there were regularly times where we would go on a late night drive and we would talk about each other's feelings, and we would both come to the conclusion that we were both feeling really lonely and stuck and just empty.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we didn't know what to do. It genuinely for a while felt hopeless.
Oh my God.
I think
Yeah.
you can agree with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are definitely like times in my life where I felt like that, but it was just like,
Like
especially
thank
even.
God you were there.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
no, thank God you were there. Because if it's like, if I had to deal with this shit, like if I had to deal with that, like by myself, I don't know where I would have, like ended up. And that's the scary part. It's just like, as I said, like it's not just you. You can't just be doing this by yourself. Because if you're like dealing with all this by yourself, you don't know what your body's going to do or what you're going to do to your body. And it's just like, and I still felt that way. Like even finally going to school and meeting people, it was still kind of there, and it took a while to finally
Yeah.
get out of that.
And then, not to fault the people at all, but it's I think the one of the worst feelings in this world is when you're around a bunch of people and you still feel lonely.
God, yeah.
It is
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah.
one of the most soul-crushing feelings
Holy shit, yeah. Yeah.
in the world. And like if that's the case how you're feeling for many many months at a time, it destroys you. It hurts.
Destroys you.
That's how I felt for a while. That's genuinely how I felt for a while.
No, absolutely. Same
And
here.
it's like, it's not necessarily the fault of the people I was around. It's just
No, absolutely not.
that's how I felt.
Yeah.
So with that,
Yeah.
I think
no,
that's
it. I guess to
you want to say something and then we'll
to just like
or
wrap
shall
it
we
up
close
though.
out?
Yeah, I was like to wrap it up, not to end on a low note, but it's like, as we just said, like it's gonna take a while, and obviously people can. It's different for everyone, but it is totally. It's good to ask for help, and you need to.
Yes.
And it'll take your time, like on your own time. No one's gonna like force you, none of that stuff. Like obviously that's even worse. If
Yes,
someone,
that's worse. That's
if
worse.
someone forces you to ask for help, but like when you get there and
When you're ready.
it's definitely okay to ask for help, and it's like there is. I want to be as non-cliche as possible as I'm trying to spew this, like say what I'm trying to say, but it's like it does. It gets better. It could take a while. Like me and Sebi just talked about like how we've been feeling this since, like middle school as kids. and finally, you know,
It's
in the
starting to
past
feel a lot better.
year, so whatever, like now it's
Yeah.
feeling better, and we're feeling better, and you know, whatever. It's because we took those steps. Like, yeah, we did it on our own time, and you know, we asked for help when we finally wanted to. We got the support system we need. We have good people around us, and we're working on ourselves. There's a good majority of factors that like are how we got to where we are today. And it is
Exactly.
like, even with
And it was
like,
a lot of it was work. It was work. You know,
oh my God,
it was
yeah, it
work
was
and a lot
hard
of
work.
battling.
It was a lot of battling. It was, you know, work. And it's just like, but it does get better. It eventually does get better.
It was hard. It was hard, but you know, it was the point is that it was possible. When I didn't think it was possible for me to genuinely be able to be happy, I think I've reached a point where I'm getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me too. I'm getting there. Slowly and surely, day by day, we're getting there.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this late night drive. Your destination is on the left.
I will say, because we talked about like a lot more like heavier topic today, I will, in the YouTube description, Spotify, Apple Podcast description, there will be resources, mental health, depression, and anxiety, like resources you guys can check out that are there if you are like feeling this any type of way or anything like that, or need
Yes.
any other resources like to reach out. We'll link those for you to check out. Reach out to someone. Do you want to close us out, Sebastian?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you guys again for allowing us to be vulnerable, especially today, because this was
Especially
a
today, it was
deeper
heavier.
topic.
Yeah.
Next week will be a little lighter. We'll have a guest, one of my best friends that I've been friends with since freshman year of high school, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
be fun.
So I'll be in Chicago with Josh. It'll be an in-person show. All
Yeah.
three of us together.
We'll have the next
So,
2 in person? Question mark.
The next 2 will be in person. Maybe
Yeah.
3. We'll see.
Ooh,
But
should be fun.
thank you guys so much. Again, your destination is on the left. Thank you for joining us on this late night drive. I've been your host, Sebi.
And I've been your host, Josh.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Take care. And
Be
we'll see you
safe.
next time. Bye.